You're now listening to Hispanics Causing Panic, baby. Let's do this.
But right now, Hispanics are causing black. But right now, Hispanics are causing black. See how he goes? Hispanics are causing panic.
What up, everybody? D Style Boxing here, aka Dragon Style, being joined by the one and the only Kelly X Boxing. You know what I mean? How's it going, Calix?
We are back. I am ready. I've been in the corner, just ready to get after it.
Hey, we're ready to get this one started. Make sure you hit that like button if you're listening on the archive. And if you're listening live, too, by the way, I'm looking at you guys. HCP is back after a 9-month hiatus. You would have thought like somebody was pregnant up in here. You know what I mean? Like, that's how long we've been gone, brother. This is crazy. You know what I mean? Look, we're back. We're going to start the year strong. A lot to go over. We're going to go over the rundown, right? So everybody, just take a seat, grab a beer, have some popcorn, share this on your social media platform, okay? And I just want to ask you guys a very simple question. Are you down with HCP? You know me, all right? Calix, first of all, I mean, before anything, okay, before anything. So I need to make it like give a shout out to this young lady and this young man for the inaugural Youth HCP Awards. You know what I mean? First of all, in the men's category, 2022 Youth HCP of the Year, Ari Bonilla out of Mexico. He won the world for the youth championship. I mean, the world championship, gold medalist, right? And he's doing his thing. Shout out to him. That is a big deal coming out of Mexico. And of course, Yoselin Perez, 2002 Youth HCP of the Year, from the United States, Youth World Champion, right? That's equivalent. That's basically the Olympics, just when the Olympics isn't on, like the Olympics every 4 years. So that's a big deal. She's doing her thing, and that is that. So congratulations to them. You know?
New generation. Congrats.
That's right. So a lot of panic out there. You know what I mean? Just cause the right type of panic. Nobody wants to see any bad type of panic. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like Jesus fucking Christ out there. You know what I mean? Shout out to G Funky. He says salute to the dynamic duo. Hashtag HCP. Make sure you guys share this on the social media. Hashtag HCP. We're going to bring it back. Okay. Shout out to Writing Yogi. He says saludos. Lee Groves. Greetings and salutations. All right.
Lee Groves, by the way, won the Nice Guy of the Year award. I saw that. Nice. Such a nice guy, man. He's like a cuddly nice guy, man. Nice guy.
All right. Nice guy of the year. Not bad. It's like the opposite of Hispanic Causing Panic. You know what I mean? He's the nice dude. You know what I mean? He's too nice to everyone the award. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Nando, how's it going? Andre Rodriguez, Jesus Sam, Sonteo Media says hashtag HCP. Shout out to him. All right. Made a nomination. One of our contributors, along with MC in the Ring and DJ Mechica, who also did the intro for HCP, will be retiring that song, Calix. We'll have a new intro starting next week. So that is that. El Chido, shout out to you. Boxing Jack, all you guys. Puerto Rican Rum out here in the building. All right. El Chido, he's a HCP alumni. So, shout out to him. You know what I mean? Of course, there's Writing Yogi and all you guys. We appreciate it. Check out all the flags. Beautiful. Okay. We got our Honduran brother over here right next to me. So is a Honduran flag right there?
No, but we still.
You got to include the Honduran flag. I'm sorry. Okay. Remy, how's it going, brother? Saludos, hermanos. This is Calix, my guy. HCP, baby. Absolutely. Hit the like button, guys. Calix, Stanionis. We're excited. They said the fight's going to be in Texas. We're assuming in the Dallas area.
Mm-hmm.
But Stanionis, understandably, he had an emergency surgery he had to do. But it's going to be postponed about a month and a half. I wish him a speedy recovery. Get better, champ. I know he wants to fight just as much as Virgil. And it looks like the fight will happen till April. Right? So we're going to have to wait a little longer, Calix. Just a little bit longer. Right? I know you don't like inactivity, but he had surgery. Like, I'm just saying. Like, you know what I mean?
And that's understandable. But here's the thing. Ooh. Virgil Ortiz is right. Virgil Ortiz's manager is out there saying we're not waiting. So that's the thing. What? And I actually agree with that. And let me tell you why. If you have an appendix surgery, it could be longer than what they're saying. It could be longer than a month delay. So I don't agree, especially after what Virgil Ortiz went through in 2022 with fights being pushed back due to illnesses of his own and the inactivity. I think the most important thing with this guy in 2023 is to keep him active. So I think you stay on that March 18th date, no matter who it is, and say the Stanionis fight is next in May or June. They want to fight. They're on record saying they want to fight 3 times in 2023. To me, that's the main goal here, is to fight 3 times in 2023, stay in people's faces, build an organic base for this guy. And the Stanionis fight can still happen in, say, June. But I think you stay on the 18th date in Dallas and keep this guy active in front of his home fans.
He had his emergency surgery, right? Fighting for his life in the hospital. He's saying by April, if Stanionis says April, he's ready for April. I'm just saying. Plus, he came out today saying he's recovering very, very well. Very positive news. I mean, he already waited a whole year. I mean, what's one more month? I mean,
from April to June, it's a 2-month difference. So I can do that too. It's a 2-month difference. Wait till June. Let my guy get his fight in March 18th. I think that's the way to go here because I don't trust anybody in the boxing business right now. They can say, oh, we'll wait a month. And guess what? We get closer to April. It's, May. Then, June. They'll do that. So I think you stay on your date. If you get a date, you stay on it. You stay on March 18th. You stay in that same forum and you get the fight in. And then you wait for June. I think that's the way to go here because I don't trust anybody in the box. Look at how 2023 is starting off. The biggest problem in 2022 was inactivity, D-Style. So 2023, it's segueing into 2023 now. You have Ryan Garcia saying, I'm stepping off the January date. You got Mel getting hurt. Now you've got Stanionis getting hurt. I forgot what the other one was. You got constantly fighters getting hurt or stepping off a fight. So if you get your fight date, you stay on it. You stay on it. And you tell the guy, look, you're hurt. You're the one injured. You wait till June. You wait till June to get the fight.
We gotta believe in. I believe in Stanionis. You know, Stanionis is a stand-up dude. I just look at him and I believe him. I got to be honest. I just look at Stanionis and I say he's ready for April. That's just the way it is. I believe in Stanionis.
I believe
in Stanionis. I trust.
Do you trust his management?
I have no reason.
Do you trust the boxing power brokers to deliver you this fight in April?
He is with PBC.
So you got I don't think he's with PBC. I think he's actually with Probellum. I think he's with Probellum.
Okay, my bad.
But regardless of it, I don't think you trust anybody to say, let's just push this fight back a month. It's just going to be a month. No. If you get your date, D-Style, if you're D-Style boxing, sitting where you're sitting, and your management, your promoter, they work out your date this March 18th, and somebody pulls off of it, you will make sure to stay on your March 18th date. Activity.
Alex, listen to me.
And tell the guy that's injured, D-Style, you're waiting till June. You're the one that's injured.
But it's it's a pretty serious appendix, brother. You know what I mean? That's unpredictable.
That's exactly my point. You don't know how this recovery is going to go. You don't know if it's going to be April.
Damn. Remy, saludos hermano, D-Style Calix, my guy, HCP, baby. Hey, by the way, we have Joe Lopez 40 out saying Honduran. He thought you were Italian.
Both.
The Italian stallion.
Both.
The Honduran Italian connection.
The reason that's such a buzzkill is it's a great fight. It's a beautiful fight. Front foot forward styles. Two guys that are aggressive fighters that want to take your head off, but it's not caveman style. So this is why it's sort of a gut punch to say
it's a caveman style.
Yes, to say, oh, let's wait a little bit because the fighter's injured. And I fully sympathize. I do believe fully. I don't need medical records that he's got an appendix injury. There's no reason to not trust Stanionis, but this is a beautiful fight because Stanionis could possibly keep the momentum going from 2022. He had one of the few top 10 wins at welterweight against Butayev in 2022. Virgil needs to get back going, but I think that's the most important thing is Virgil needs to get back going.
Yeah, really quick, I want to give a shout out to the OG, Bruce Goss in the building. Shout out to my brother. Hope everything's all good. All right. Anyway, moving on. Look, obviously, we had a fight card this week in Calix. All right. Mm-hmm. And Boots. And a couple, like last year, I talked about Anointment Syndrome.
Yes.
We anoint fighters. They just get anointing. Oh, he's the future. Oh, him. Like they did it with Colbert, and this isn't as bad, by the way, because he still won. But talk to us, Boots against Karen. Karen didn't ask for the manager. He was the manager. All right? You understand? He didn't ask for the manager. He was the manager.
Karen Chewbacca. It's like, here's the thing, D-Style. It's if you're anointing this guy as the next Ray Leonard, he's the next Sugar Ray Leonard. He's the best welterweight we've seen since perhaps the 90s, 80s. He's the best, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters we've seen, according to eye test, since Roy Jones Jr., right? If you're setting that standard, we have to grade on that curve. Okay, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't proclaim that this guy is the guy. He's the guy. And then when he has a pedestrian performance like this, because it was a pedestrian average performance against this Karen guy, and they're saying, oh, Karen ran. We've seen instances of fighters running, because I didn't see Karen do that much running, to be honest. He was still there to get hit. But in a way, against Butler was there to survive. He was there to go 12. And guess what? Inoue stopped him. Butler wasn't throwing any punches.
Inoue is like Inoue. You know what I mean?
That's exactly my point, Style, is they're trying to jump him up to that level already. He's already beating Bud. He's already beating Errol. He's already the best.
People got a Ryan, by the way, against Dogby, right? What was it, Dogby? Who did he fight again? Ryan? The guy that wouldn't fight?
Oh, I forget the name.
It wasn't Dogby, though.
No, it wasn't Dogby.
Against Hoyt. But
somebody in chat can fact check us on that. But
fact checker, yeah.
Yeah, but my ultimate point is we're grading on the curve that you set. You can't build it up as this and say, whoa, he won almost every round. Don't be too harsh, especially when these guys give us so little content to go after. That's the tough thing about making a pound for pound list is they're fighting once per year. So if you're fighting once per year, you got to make it count. But the issue is Boots has to be fighting more. We saw it on Saturday. It's inactivity. It's being rusty. Every single day on Twitter, or every other day, we see this guy come on Twitter. I ran 20 miles today, 12 rounds of sparring, overtraining, underfighting. You need to be actually fighting. Fighting. And we saw, I think, the ring rust on Saturday. But let me be clear, though. I still think Boots is a special guy. I'm not throwing him away after one fight. Boxing is littered with special fighters putting up bad performances, but this was a bad performance. But still, we say, give it time. Time will tell. Be the truth detector. We just need to pull back a little bit right now. But I still think he can be competitive against the Bud, competitive against Errol, still competitive. But I'm not ready to pick him there yet. I'm not there yet.
We had individuals putting Boots on pound for pound list, on top 5. Some even had a number 1. Oh, my eyes don't lie, and my eye test. Well, what happens to your eye test against Karen? I mean, unless you never know, Karen might go on a tear and start fucking dudes up, and we might look back and be like, man, Karen was better than we thought. But I doubt that, right? Well, we'll see, but I doubt it. Okay. The reality is, first of all, I do believe in the long run, this is a good experience for Boots. You need to fight these guys that make it ugly, and also it give them the opportunity to do rounds. You know what I mean? Like a lot of positive things. But lay off, please, bro. There's people that had him above Bivol on pound for pound list. This is crazy. Bill would just be Canelo and shit. Like, well, Bivol, he just made my list, champ site. But we're gonna put Boots, like Boots. What's going on over here? We had individuals on panels on Aftermath, which we retired by the way. Shout out to Aftermath. But Brian on here, I think Boots. I think he beats Crawford and Spence. Like what? Based on what? He just got anointed. They just knighted this dude like the future, like just like that. What's going on? Like, do they have a time machine to the future that I don't know about? I know Rodriguez with a super sticker. Look at that, $1.49 in euros. I appreciate that, brother, very, very much. Shout out to Chicano Prophet. It says trash fight. Damn. Get us to 30 likes, guys. Absolutely, man. Let's go ahead and get the likes up. We've got almost 40 people. Jab that like button. It sets everything up. Okay, if you like the content, subscribe. And the link to Callis' channel is in the description as well. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as well. Look, I put a poll up. All right. And here on HCP, we don't pull punches. Right? I want a real opinion from the chat. I want a real opinion from Calix. And of course, I'm going to give my real opinion. And I want to know, in este deporte de boxeo, in this boxing sport, right now, today, January 9th, 2022, who do you like better? Or who is better? Virgil Ortiz or Boots Ennis? Did the needle move in popular opinion after Saturday night, Calix?
I'm a bigger believer in resume, so I'm Virgil. I think he's just proven more up to this point. I don't know what Boots is going to do against the level of opposition of Virgil. I don't know. But Virgil has faced a closer level of opposition to Boots up to this point in his career, and that's why I'll tilt towards Virgil up into this point. Now, would I be shocked? Not at all if Boots won that fight. Not at all. So I would say 55-45 right now towards Virgil if I had to put percentages on it, just based off of resume with the eye test thrown in there as well. Because they both look the part. They do. They both look the part. But I've just seen more from Virgil in higher level of opposition up until this point.
Shout out to Nando Llamas Boxing, Boogeyman. Ooh, always got to be propped up with finger pointing and excuses.
And D-Style, can I touch on that too real quick? The fighters are giving us so little to go off of in this generation that we're constantly looking and searching for boogeymen. We're constantly looking and searching for the next great fighter, the next superstar, and we're reaching more now. And since we have so little to go off of, so many times we're even further away from the target when we pick these guys as the next big guy, the next big thing, the next scary guy. So where we see Janabek in his last fight, and we're like, man, why are so many people avoiding him? He looks pedestrian in this fight. He looks beatable, And we see the same thing with Zach Parker. We see the same thing with Herzgoff. And we see these guys fight. We're like, why are these guys so avoided? The eye test told us that there were these boogeymen early on, but then it turns out they step up and they're not so much boogeymen. So we're further off target now because we have so little to go off of, and we're relying so heavily on the eye test.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, so far in the chat, we have the votes 89% to 11%. It's still early. We'll leave the poll up even after we continue with the other topics. But Virgil is definitely, and I have a feeling the poll will be a little different before the Karen fight. You see what these Karens do? You know what I mean? Like they just ruin everything, brother. Like, you know what I mean? Like what's going on over here? Like Karen was like, "What do you mean you can knock me out in the first round?" Hell no! Like you know what I mean? He said, "Nah, not today." You know what I mean? I do want to say though, boogeyman in boxing. I mean, it's always like it's like a thing, but it isn't. And I do believe that there could be a boogeyman in boxing. And it's kind of like a title, and it's hard to keep. It just is because you don't have to lose you don't have to like lose a fight to lose your status as a boogeyman. You just have to look vulnerable. As soon as you look vulnerable, you're no longer the boogeyman. You know what I mean? So we will see. I doubt any bookies or anybody will be favoring him or many people to beat a Crawford or a Spence. Like I'm just gonna say that right now. Reese Max says he wouldn't mind seeing Ennis versus Ellis. I agree, 100%. You know what I mean? I want to go ahead and bring this up right here. All right, I want to bring this up. So before anything, Anyway, moving on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Hispanic causing panic of the year. All right, so we got. Right here, we got three ladies here. We got Amanda Serrano, who had the women's fight of the year for sure against Katie Taylor, in my opinion. And then she went on to unify belts in her weight class at featherweight. She looks to become undisputed this year, and then hopefully we get that rematch with Katie Taylor. Marlene Esparza. A lot of people don't like Marlene for some reason. She rubs people the wrong way, or I don't know what it is. You know how it is with women. I mean, they're always over here beefing, and it's whatever. But nonetheless, hey, she had two good fights. Won the Ring Magazine championship. She unified. She's in a 6-match winning streak since her loss to Stanionis back in 2018 or 19. So she's doing her thing. So she's in the mix. Okay. So shout out to her, former bronze medalist from you're never a former bronze medalist, but bronze medalist from the Olympics. And then we got Stanionis, super bad Estrada. You can't go bad. You can't go wrong with super bad Estrada. You just can't. You know what I mean? Now, she wasn't very active this year, Alex. She only fought one time. She fought for her right. For money, you know what I mean? Like she did. She signed with Top Rank, did her thing. Underwhelming opponent, if I'm honest, but it's not her fault. That's who Top Rank put her in there with. Now she looks to be unifying. I think she's gonna have a big year this year. But have you seen her and like Marlene go at it, like on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Like Marlene was commentating the fight. Well, she commentated one of Marlene's fights.
Yeah, no.
And she was kind of like, she knows what she was doing. You know what I mean? She knows what she was doing. Like, yeah, Marlene's winning, but I don't know. I mean, she seems to make everything harder than she has to. And like, you know what I mean? Or then she goes, well, I mean, maybe it's just the best she could do. Like, it's just like, I don't know. And then Marlene commentated some fights. And Stanisa goes on Twitter, right? Because she took over like Stanisa's spot on the zone. She's like, oh, I want to apologize to everybody for my chola mom calling these fights. And I don't know. Stanisa's a beast on Twitter. I'm just saying. Shout out to Tony Boswell, by the way. Tony's that dude. Who do you think is the favorite? We already know the winner, but like who do you think is the most sensible, like that embodies Hispanic causing panic? You know what I mean? Because some people might say that Amanda's too nice to be a Hispanic causing panic. Some people might say that.
Do you think she looked nice in the ring with Katie Taylor?
No.
Look
Especially
mean,
not
right?
She looked really mean.
Look mean, landing hellacious shots. And there were several times when she heard Katie Taylor, and she did it in one of the most storied arenas in sports. Packed it, historic. There is only one answer here, D-Style. There is only one answer, and you know what it is. What is it?
Well, the thing with Stanionis, I mean, you got to think about it. And then Lee just said it too. Marlene had probably resume-wise and win-wise the best year, right? Unified, she was more active, or just as active as Amanda, but Amanda went 1-on-1. But Amanda did fight Katie Tater, so we got to, who is the Hispanic Causin Pan? I'm gonna Chicano Provinces. He nominates Nika. You know what I mean? Honorable mention. Look, you can't go wrong with any of these ladies. I think Marlene has the advantage resume wise, right? Stanionis has the advantage social media wise, right? And then Serrano, as far as impact, has the advantage. So you can't go wrong with either, right? But we're gonna have to give it to the one and only. From me, stop. No. We're gonna go ahead and give it to Amanda Serrano. Okay, Puerto Rico, stand up. All right, Amanda Serrano. All right, Amanda Serrano. Now I don't have one of those like clap emojis, so I'm gonna have Callie kind of do the thing. There we go. So Amanda Serrano is, ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 Women's Hispanic Causin Panic of the year. All right. The impact that fight with Katie Tater had moving forward and the precedent it set, all right, was a very positive one. And I think she's going to have a big year this year as well. She's going to be hard to beat this year, but Stanionis is going to give her a running. So it is what it is. But shout out to Marlene and to Stanionis as well. So whoever thought they should win, you can't go wrong with either. But that is the winner. All right. We're going to go ahead and proceed here. Hey, let's talk about Tank Davis. We all know Tank Davis defeated, Garcia by stoppage. Garcia didn't come out. He didn't answer the bell for the 9th. Retired in a stool. Alex, did Hector Garcia quit?
No, terminology matters, right? It's not just semantics. Terminology matters. So I would prefer to say retired on the stool. I would prefer to say he made a business decision. I would prefer to use terminology like that, because when we say it's fight or quit, it just sounds demeaning to guys who go in there and get punched in the face. And I know they're getting a lot of money. I know they chose this profession, but quit is a word I'd prefer not to use unless it's the most extreme cases, which this wasn't. So I think he made a business decision between the 8th and 9th round. I think he decided to retire on the stool. He saw that things were starting to get chaotic. Tank was very economical, even more so, and we'll get into that, I'm sure, later, even more so than normal going into that 8th round, but he stepped up his work rate significantly in the 8th round. So Hector Garcia is taking more shots. Tank is landing 75% of his power shots in that round, I believe, and almost exclusively the punches he's throwing are power shots. And he's hurt, and then he sees a washed-up rapper fighting an inactive featherweight ringside, and things are just getting way too chaotic. And he's saying, you know what? I'm not so sure I want to be part of this anymore. I can go back down to 130, defend my belt in a more shallow and less competitive division. So I think that's a decision he made, right?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Look, I think I agree with you. Terminology matters. I saw a lot of people saying he quit and this. I just think, he retired on the stool. Decided not to continue, said he couldn't see. I believe him. I mean, I don't have a reason to not believe the guy. And if it wasn't that, then he obviously, whatever it was in his soul, just didn't want to continue, right? Which is fine. Like, once I remember Eric Morales was interviewed after the 3rd Pacquiao fight. They said, "Why didn't you get up?" And he said, "You know what? Sometimes as a fighter, you just need to acknowledge when you're defeated." And that's what he said. He just said, "I was defeated. Like getting up was futile at that point. Like I'm adding that part, but that's pretty much what it was. You know what I mean? People saying tapped out, Chicano Prophet saying quit, no mas. You know what I mean? Man.
That's a better way to put it, though, as a tap, because taps exist in the other sport. This was a tap to me. It was a tap. It's like I acknowledge what's going on. This is a weight class. And people didn't want to hear that before. People were sending me pictures of, oh, these guys are actually the same size. Oh, in pictures, Hector actually looks bigger. There are weight classes for a reason. Guys compete in certain weight classes for a reason. Hector Luis Garcia is a junior lightweight. Tank is a lightweight. And he's competed up to junior welterweight. And Hector Luis Garcia stepped up a weight class for a one-fight thing, and we all knew it was coming. And we tried to tell people coming in, there's a reason he's a 16-1 underdog. The reason is he's a champion in a more shallow division south of Tank Davis. He's natural there. He's not natural as a lightweight. This is a one-time thing, moving up to this weight class, but it is not his weight class. It's not his weight class. Okay, so it's what it is. And he's a good champion in a less talented division.
Absolutely.
And we saw what happened when he moved up.
Now, here's some surprising news before we get to Tank. Dude, this was surprising to me. $5 million at the gate. Now, I know what people are going to do. Oh, but Canelo did 10 million. Okay, well, that's Canelo. Like, you know what I mean? For a fighter south of welterweight, 5 million is really good.
Yes.
Like this is really good. Like this is a positive. Like this is showing me that people want to see Tank Davis fight.
Yeah.
Right. And I honestly believe because his fights are exciting.
Mm-hmm.
He's an exciting fighter to watch, despite the low activity. We'll touch on that. Despite all that, the guy is what people love punchers, bro. Just like in baseball, people love home run hitters. Mm-hmm. It's the way it is. Do home run hitters strike out a lot of times? Yes. Yeah. But guess what? More likely, they're going to hit a home run that game, right? It may not be every time they step at plate, right? Sometimes they're going to walk them. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, people love home runs. People love the puncher in boxing. And Tank is a pure puncher. Like that's what he does. He sets up the punch, and it may or may not work when he steps up in competition. And Tank fans, spare me, okay? He hasn't stepped up in competition, right? Oh, what do you mean? He's the best. He's the champion. No, okay? He hasn't stepped up. And I believe you put him in there with Lomachenko. You put him in there with the Haney. You put him in there with Shakur. We're talking 7-8 million at the gate. Like I honestly believe that. Maybe 10 million at the gate. Yep. I think high rollers will show up. Okay, you don't think high rollers from Eastern Europe are going to show up, pay big money? All right. Okay, to watch Lomachenko fight Tank Davis. I mean, when you get the overall gate of a Davis, and then you add like the high rollers for a lot of these fights. It enhances the amount of money that people put into these fights. And I think it's just very impressive to me. What are your thoughts? 5 million at the gate for Tank.
It's big. It's big.
And real quick, just to put it in perspective. And it was, and I don't believe me, people are going to take it this way, but I don't mean to diminish the women's fight. The Madison Square Garden fight with Amanda Serrano and Tater did 1 million at the gate. Mm-hmm. Tank Davis is doing 5 times that amount. Whether we like it or not, that's just the facts.
Yeah, and just more perspective on that. I think that Deontay Wilder versus Helenius is 1.1 to 1.5, somewhere around there, live gate. So you're talking about a smaller weight class guy doing 5 million and a not known B-side fighter. Because a lot of Tank's fans, the casuals that are going to show up, they don't care who he's fighting against. And I had people sending me texts and tweets of them passing out flyers for this fight, and they have Ryan Garcia's face on the flyer as if he was fighting in this fight. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. And just imagine what the live gate's going to be in Vegas for a Ryan Garcia fight. If that fight does happen, court case goes well, whatever. If this fight happens in mid-April, it's going to do a big live gate in Vegas. There seems to be a disconnect, though, between live gate and pay-per-view with Tank. A huge disconnect because the pay-per-view numbers are not there. They're not
Well,
there.
it's very similar to the Gennady Golovkin situation. Gennady Golovkin was selling out Staples Center and Madison Square Garden, the big house, and he wasn't doing that good in pay-per-view, right?
Yep.
What that tells me is it's not really a disconnect. What that tells me is that the hardcore fan, the hardcore boxing fan, is paying attention to those fighters and they're going to their fights, and or they have a specific their fan base, like a cult fan base of theirs. You know what I mean?
That's what it is.
And then so it's either or. A pay-per-view, you need the casuals for that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you need like the Eminem song, "White America." Like you need them to buy the shit. Okay. Yeah. And that's what it is at the end of the day. That your casual sports fan needs to tune in for you to go north of 250, in my opinion.
And will happen for the Ryan fight, by the way. Those numbers are going to do well. I'm more convinced
because
than ever.
I don't think those teenage girls, right, are Tank Davis fans, and I don't think Tank Davis fans are Ryan Garcia fans.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying. So it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But let's talk about Tank himself. This fighting style of his, where he's, first of all, I'm sick and tired of people talking about collecting data, and I'm done. I'm done with commentators saying it because it downplays what the opponent is doing in those rounds. You know what I mean? I think Tank Davis, like I said, he's a pure puncher. He sets guys up, and he wins the way he wins. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to work against a Shakur, a Haney? You could run it down with whatever opponent you want. Is it going to work against a lot of these guys, like at the upper level at lightweight?
That's been the big question to me for years, and it's troubling that his career turns a decade old next month, and we're still asking that question. That's the troubling part, and it makes us wonder, what are the red flags? What are they hiding from us? And I think it's the economical part. It's, can he win those big fights against guys with chins, guys who are technically sound, guys at the elite level of lightweight and junior welterweight, the Shakurs, the Lomachenkos, Devin Haney, the Regis Prograis, the Josh Taylors? Can he win those fights? And etc. At 140, by the way, can he win fights throwing 30 punches per round? I don't think people understand quite how economical that is. The top fighters in the sport, he is the most economical fighter in the sport, 34 punches per round. And he actually was underneath that number in this fight, throwing 29 punches per round.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you look at the top 10 most economical fighters in the sport,
it's like lightweight, by the way.
Yeah, it's like 7 or 8 heavyweights. And then you have like a light heavyweight in there, maybe a welterweight, and a lightweight throwing 34 punches per round. You have to make them all count, and you're heavily reliant on power. And oh, by the way, as you step up the ranks, that margin for error that is already small, and you see it when he's fighting inferior opposition. Through 6 rounds, this was an even fight. I thought he started to pull away. I had him up 5-3 at the stoppage. But Romero, the fight was pretty even up until the stoppage. Matty O'Bell was even until the stoppage. Leo Santa Cruz, he was giving up rounds to Leo Santa Cruz. Isak Cruz, it was pretty much an even fight. So the margin for error is already small, D-style. So when you up to the highest levels, it's even smaller. You have to thread that needle. And I've heard Lee Groves talk about it, and he's touched on the stats, it's a tightrope style because you're throwing a limited amount of shots. You're economical, but they're all power punches. And this guy is a great power puncher. There's no doubt about that. 58% of his shots, of his power punches, are landing. That's up. Him and Lomachenko are up there. Like
the accuracy makes up for a lot of the, like the fact that the volume, you know what I mean? Because it makes up for it because he's accurate. You know what I mean?
And another interesting thing, and another thing, interesting thing about that is he's keeping his opponents honest, even though he's economical. So in other words,
gotta be honest, yeah.
As the fight goes on, he's landing those power shots more, and guys are not liking the power shots that they're tasting. Like I don't want.
There's other things that Tank does, and he finds a way, and this is something he's done a lot in fights. He did it to Santa Cruz. If you watch the Santa Cruz fight, he was landing on Santa Cruz early.
Mm-hmm.
And Santa Cruz was being like, he was actually doing a good job with his jab, right? Which, if you go back to that fight, that's why I think Haney and Shakur were giving him a lot of problems with the jab. Because you look at the Santa Cruz fight. But what he did was, I think he was pulling back the punches just enough to make Santa Cruz say, I could take these punches. This guy doesn't hit as hard. You know what I mean? And then he started trading with Tank. So that's what Tank does. He finds a way to get guys to trade with him when he knows. Like, he didn't do that with Raleigh because Raleigh's a big puncher, obviously. He's going to do it with certain guys, right? But I just don't know that tactic's not going to work with Devin Haney. Like, it's not going to work with Shakur. It's not going to work with Lomachenko. It just isn't. Like, you know what I mean? He's not going to try that with Ryan because Ryan's a big puncher. You know what I mean? But a lot of these tactics, though, the way he lures guys to trade, and then he starts landing the big bombs, it kind of catches them off guard a little bit because they thought they were already absorbing the best shot. Because Tank pulling back on his punch is still harder than most boxers. You know what I mean? So this guy's a hell of a puncher, man. Like, when you hear those punches, like sometimes they show, like when the commentary, without the commentary, you just hear the shots. They're loud, bro. Those are hard shots. This fucker could punch. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes when he steps up. But let me just one more thing before we go to this other thing. Does Showtime have no shame calling this guy the king of the division, the lightweight champion? Well, we know there's only one lightweight champion. He's the undisputed lightweight champion, Devin Haney. But they're calling this guy the champion, brother. Like, have they no shame? They don't even want to say the regular WBA champion. I mean,
that's what we've talked about with Showtime, is the false advertisement. And this is what bothers people like us. It bothers the hardcore boxing fans they're obviously pushing snake oil. It's a snake oil salesman type game. You're trying to warn people he's not a 3-division champion. There is a real champion in this division who went out and earned it. His name is Devin Haney. He is the champion in the division. That's why it's called undisputed. He is the champion. It's not this. You can't dispute it. He is the champion. So when Showtime goes out here and calls this guy a 3-division champion, it's frustrating for boxing fans to see that. And that's why you get so much pushback. It's like you're selling people something that's false. And we're getting the product. It's like you're getting the product in the mail and you're like, no, this isn't what I ordered. This isn't. Look, I ordered a 3-division champ. This isn't a 3-division champion. This is a guy who won some Reggie belts. This isn't a 3-division champion.
It's a 3-division fighter
yet, right? But I want to circle back real quick, D-Style, to when it comes to Tank Davis. And Lee Groves touched on this. The 8th round was very decisive for Tank Davis. 30-3, he outlanded Hector Luis Garcia. But here's the thing. The first 3 rounds, he landed 12 total shots. 12. And out of those 12 total shots, he landed 4 power shots. He landed 4 power shots in the first 3 rounds. And you talked about the deceptive. He does set up traps. He is a smart, high IQ fighter. Like nobody's debating that. He's a high IQ fighter.
But so far, against a certain level of opposition.
Against a certain level of opposition. But what I'm saying is you can't start off slow like that against a Devin Haney. You can't start off slow like that against a Shakur. You can't do that. You can't afford to do that. So, I mean, there are deceptive things that other fighters have done in the past. George Foreman used to throw his jab 6 inches shorter than his regular jab in order to lure the opponent closer to him so he can knock him out with the right hand. Right. He used to do stuff like that, but he was doing that against higher level of competition, so you knew it would work against anybody. This, we don't know if this is going to work. It's a tightrope style that we don't know is going to work. But here's the great news for the Tank Davis extremists who hate when we point out the obvious stuff like this is the most winnable big fight out there for Tank Davis is Ryan Garcia. The most big fight out there for Ryan Garcia is Tank Davis. These guys are meant for each other. You've seen Jerry Maguire. You complete me. These guys complete each other. It would not shock me at all to see them fight 2 times, 3 times, possibly, because the other top fighters at 135 and 140 give them more trouble than they give each other.
And it's the biggest, whether we like it or not, right?
Big fight.
It's the biggest monetary fight at lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we like it or not. I don't like it, but it's the truth. You know what I mean?
Possibly in boxing.
Could be. This could be a fight that can get to 1 million buys. And people will say, what? I'm just saying. Like, I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying it's possible. You know what I mean? So all I know is that we got to see, Tank. You mentioned Ryan. Ryan. Could somebody, like, these charges that he has are very serious charges.
Mm-hmm.
Hit and run. He didn't have a license. You know what I mean? He fled the scene. I mean, this is like very serious stuff. The judge didn't like the plea deal or whatever it was. So what? Is he going to jail? Is he getting the jail card for Monopoly, or is he going to collect 200 pass go and fight Ryan Garcia? In this case, 3 million pass go and fight Ryan Garcia. Like, what's going to happen? Pass go or jail?
I can't call it because I have no expertise in law. I don't know. I saw Beeb talking about this, like he could face 6-7 years. I just don't know. And I generally like to stay away from commenting on people's personal lives. But here's what I'll say. The boxing fan in me wants to see this fight and wants to see him get through this. But I have to check myself, because when I read the charges, a pregnant woman, hit and run, unfortunately, I had a close family member who was a victim of hit and run, has health issues for the rest of her life. So when I see stuff like this, I'm not sympathetic. I'm not. When I see a pregnant woman get hit and then the driver of the car steps up, looks her in the eyes and runs away and gets into a getaway car. When I hear stuff like that, whatever happens, happens. Whatever. If the fight is sacrificed for that, so be it. So be it. Justice needs to be served. I don't know, because I don't know anything about what's going on. I'm not a law expert or anything. I don't know his relationship. If he's tried to patch it up with the victim, I'm just not sure. So I don't know. I'll just say 50-50. I'm not, put it this way. I have not yet come to terms that this fight is going to happen. I have not. When they announce this fight, generally when they announce a big fight, I'm all over Twitter. When they announce this fight, I just stayed off. I'm not confident that this fight is happening yet.
What about Oscar De La Hoya did a video with his dinner rolls on his abs, and he
that was a 6-pack,
right? And he didn't have a 6-pack like that in his prime, brother. You know what I mean? But now as an old man, that's the only part in his body that's sculpted, like his abs. What's going on?
You think he drew that on? Makeup?
No, I think he had like either injections or like I'm serious. People don't believe. Go look up De La Hoya in his prime. His abs were like you can't change the way your abs are. Yeah, he has like the Superman comic book abs right now. He never had abs like that.
And he made sure to have his shirt open, by the way.
Yeah, so he's sitting down and his abs are just, his dinner rolls are just there. He's like, yeah, we're gonna do the fight the 17th, like whatever. I think he meant 15th. But how do you know, Oscar? This dude's got card, brother. He's got card. Like, we don't know what the hell's gonna happen. Before somebody says, "Oh, come on, they're not gonna do anything," I don't know. I mean, nobody thought Tyson was gonna go to jail. He went to jail. Nobody thought Floyd was going to get locked up. He got locked up. Now, you never know. The judge may do what they did for Floyd and say, well, look, go ahead and do your fight. It's good for the economy, but then you go to jail afterwards. You know what I mean? That's what they did to Floyd. After the Cotto fight, you're going to go to jail, right? So there you go. But I don't know, though. I know there's people saying, oh, he's definitely going to go to jail. Some people saying, no, the fight's definitely going to happen. Ain't nobody know. I don't know what the hell is going to happen. But I do know that if all these things are true, no, he's going to have his day in court, right? It could be that they're lying about Tank, and maybe the evidence will show. I don't know, right?
Could be.
I'm not in the jury. I don't know, and we have to, innocent to proving guilty in a court of law is a thing, right? No matter what we believe, so it is what it is. But it's not looking good, is what I'm saying. Like these charges are very serious. Like, it's unlikely, I should say, that it's not true. And I believe they worked out a plea deal with all the other victims, but this lady said, "Nah, I'm good. Like, we're gonna go to court." Like, he couldn't buy her off. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But leave it to Brian Custer to ask Tank, how is he dealing with all this?
Mm-hmm.
That's the situation we're in right now. You know what I mean? Well, we have reporters like Ali Setback calling him the king of lightweight, and that's not because he gets exclusive interviews with Tank at all, right? I mean, that's because he genuinely feels that way. Who knows with Ali? You never fucking know. But I don't know, man. I have no clue what's gonna happen. I have no clue this Ryan fight's gonna happen. And by the way, what happened to Tank having a tune-up? Remember he said he was gonna have a tune-up?
Mm-hmm.
And Nando's wondering why I call him Lion Ryan? Oh, not D-Style again? Calling him Lion Ryan? He said it's gonna have a tune-up, bro. In January.
Let me come to Ryan's defense real quick, though. Let me play the devil's advocate.
I was at the 7-Eleven, okay? I grabbed the milk carton, right? I looked at the back. Lion Ryan's face is right there. Nowhere to be found in January.
Let me come to Ryan's defense real quick, though. I don't know why he stepped off the January date, by the way. But what I'll say is I think he's the biggest reason that this fight with Tank was made. I do. I think had he not been vocal on social media, as vocal as he was trying to corner Tank. Had he been as vocal, as critical as he was of the boxing business in general, if that wasn't the case, I don't think this fight gets made in April. As big as it is, even as big as it is, it didn't seem like any of these other parties were interested. DAZN, Showtime, Heyman, Oscar. I don't think they were interested in trying to work with each other, even as big as this was. So I think if Ryan Garcia isn't as vocal as he is, this fight doesn't get made. I have to at least give him that.
Yeah. There you go. Joe Lopez Fordon saying, I'm still waiting on that Ryan Garcia versus Pacquiao fight. You know what I mean? Gotta love social media, says Nando Llamas. Lee Grove says, if you choose to be a boxing fan for long, especially in this era, you learn pretty quickly that we fans really know nothing, but can make pretty good guesses. We are conditioned to be disappointed. Well, I definitely agree with that. That's without a shadow of a doubt. Roddy Yogi says, I've seen lots of serious charges be dismissed from sports stars. So we just never know. You know what I mean? Like, even if he wins a case, we're not going to know it's because he just had a lot of money to beat it or because the evidence showed it. Who fucking knows, right? Legal interestingly, both Floyd Mayweather and Adrian Broner cut deals with the authorities to begin serving their terms after their fights with Cotto and Ashley Theophane. Could Tank get a similar deal? Possibly, but the only problem is these are criminal charges. But I don't know that they'll work with them. You know what I mean? But yes, I'm definitely calling them Lion Ryan. Hey, Calix, do these two guys? And you kind of touched on it, but do they need each other, Ryan and Tank?
They do, more than ever. And stylistically, at the top of 135 or 140, if you look at it, it's a 2-1. Tank Davis is a 2-1 favorite over Ryan Garcia. It's even odds. And if I look at it, I think that's the best stylistical matchup for Tank Davis at 135 or 140. The reason I believe that is Ryan Garcia is obviously he's economical as well. I think he throws 40-something punches per round. So he's not that much more active than Tank Davis. He's another guy. It's crazy how much these guys mirror each other. It is. It's both on the fringe of their fan base is very fanatical. They do not want people disrespect their fighters. In a lot of ways, that's every fan base. But when you get to guys as popular as this, their fanatical fan bases, their extreme fan bases are very fanatical. But on top
are
of that,
Ryan fans going to duke it out with Tank fans in the stands?
possibly. Who knows? Maybe there'll be more rapper fights at this fight. Who knows? But economical, highly reliant on power, but still very skilled fighters.
Yeah.
And thin resumes. For whatever reasons, thin resumes. They both need that big win. They mirror each other. They shadow each other. And I don't even think they know how much they have in common. I don't even think they know how much they need each other, because when I look at those other matchups at 135 and 140, I don't think they match up as well with those other fighters. I think it's going to be tough for them to win those big fights in those weight classes, particularly if we're talking about 40. And the other, Absolutely. That's why I used to call it the Tank Davis theorem, but I also call it the Tank Davis Ryan Garcia theorem now, is they both say they don't care about belts and they don't want to fight for belts. Although Tank Davis is being promoted as a 3-division champ and a lightweight champion. So Showtime goes against it, but he said, I don't care about belts. We're above the belts. They both said it. We're above the belts. And on top of that, they're chameleons, because they both don't campaign in a single weight class. And they do this so they're not stationary targets for their top peers. Ryan Garcia moved to 140 and say, I'm a 140-pounder, but when 140-pounders call him out, he's saying no, and he's going to fight 135. He's been fighting 135-pounders at a catch weight of like 138, 139.
Yeah.
Tank Davis fights junior lightweights at lightweight. Tank Davis moves up and beats Matteo Barrios. As soon as Josh Taylor calls him out, Josh Taylor has nothing to offer. What do you mean Josh Taylor has nothing to offer other than all of the belts? All of the belts. And Regis Prograis calls him out. You're too big for me. I'm moving back down to lightweight. And then he moves down to lightweight. Top lightweights call him out, and he fights junior lightweights at lightweight. And now, of course, when they fight each other, we're going to get the fight at a catchweight. And we know that's Tank Davis trying to drain Ryan Garcia down to 136, but could have been done. It would have been done at 137, 138, 139. They needed to do the catch weight to stay true to the Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia.
Well, 100%. Shout out to Writing Yoga says, hit the like for HCP. Hit that like button. We're like 2 away. I just need 1 like. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Where's Juan at? Remember Juan? The guy that didn't want to give me a like? Like, you're going to have to earn my like. I'll just say, okay, damn.
Like the stripper late at 2 a.m., right? You got to work for that. You got to work for that last hour. Dude, you see Lee Groves' comment at 8:59 p.m. Can you touch on that real quick? Because I think that's important. That right there. So their latest numbers are trending even lower than their averages. 30 punches per round, D-style. 30. And Ryan's not that much more active, 41 punches. That's what I'm saying. If you look at the other top lightweights, I guarantee you they're higher than that.
They are. It's a very, very tough road. You know what I mean? You guys are tuning into HCP 103 episodes. All right, so I've been in about 100 of them, so it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm the OG of this shit. You know, Lee Groves, Ryan's last fights again. I'll just repeat what we're talking about: 41.3 punches compared to Davis's 30.4. Okay, and keep in mind, Davis could pick it up in some rounds, but there's rounds where he has very little output. That's the other thing. You know what I mean? So it's not even an evenly distributed number. Like, it just isn't. Especially early, as you mentioned, like early on, he gives away rounds, and that's dangerous. When you get in there with a pure boxer, they're going to take those early rounds from you, and they'll like, you give Haney the first 4 rounds, then he's just got to win 2 of the next, or 3, that is, of the remaining 8. Dude, like, he'll easy, like I'm just saying. All right. But what are you going to do?
You know who it reminds me of? Adrian Broner coming up.
A little bit, yeah.
It was up and down. He'd fight in lulls. He'd have a round where he was active. He'd have another round where he didn't throw a punch for 2 minutes. And you said that these red flags were eventually going to show, and they did against Marcos Maidana.
And by the way, we will not be twerking for likes. It ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? That's gonna be the wrong type of panic. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. You know what I mean? But ain't nobody want to see that.
They don't want that panic.
People don't want that panic. You know what I mean? Man, Rashidi Ellis. What happened, Calix, against Roman Villa? What happened?
I had people tell me there were a couple poison cherries in this card, and this ended up being the one. Just took the fight to him, and as the fight went on, you started to see once again the red flags pop up of a guy stepping up, and he's not quite there to where people said he was. And it's a shame they didn't do Boots versus Rashidi in this fight, because the Boots win over Rashidi would have looked better. Looked good for Boots, and it would have likely been a pretty easy fight for Boots in the process. But just a test that Rashidi Ellis didn't pass, unfortunately. Those flaws showed, especially in the 12th round.
Well, what do you say? People saying he was robbed.
No. If a guy starts losing rounds late, and especially if he gets knocked down multiple times late, and you're limping to the finish line, I don't think he put enough in the bank in order to hold that off. Close fight. If they would have said Rashidi Ellis close, I'd have been fine with that too, by the way. But I thought he lost the fight close.
Yeah, I thought a draw or either guy edging it out was fair, in my opinion. But Rashidi Ellis has nobody to blame but himself. You can't have a meltdown like that in the last 3 rounds and then complain that you lost the fight, brother. Like, because you could, even if you could make the argument with the tempo and must system, let's be honest, you weren't like, take the tempo and must system and scoring system out of it, right? If 2 dudes get in a fight in the street, right? And before they break it up, one guy is knocking the other guy down. The other guy looks like he's out of it. Like, and then they break it up, because that's pretty much the 12th round. They're breaking it up. No more fight. The guy that got knocked down or was getting beat up at the end can't be like, well, at the very beginning, I was hitting you with some jabs, and for the first few minutes, I was winning. Like, no, like, how you finish a fight matters at the end of the day. Yeah. Remy Davis has skills, not confidence, in my opinion, against elites. Talking about Tank Davis. You agree with that?
I do, because I remember the interview, and I'm not sure the outlet, when they asked him, are you asking for these fights? And we got clear evidence in a receipt that of what we've been asking for years. Does Tank want the fights, and they're not just not giving it to us? But Tank confirmed, I'm not asking for the fights. I'm not knocking on the door. I think he's fine with where he's at. I think he's fine fighting this level of opposition, fighting in front of packed houses, making a bunch of money in the process. I think he's fine with it. I think he is. I still think that ego is there to where, yes, I want to be a pound for pound fighter. I am going to complain about that. I do want to be the top lightweight. But for whatever reason, there seems to be that disconnect there that, I'm not asking for the big fights. And that's frustrating to see as a boxing fan as well. And I will say this too, as far as Rashidi Ellis, this was a cherry pick gone wrong. He was a 7-1 favorite. And Steven Espinosa is coming on after the fight. He came on after the fight saying, oh, you see, the betting odds were wrong. We told you this was it could have been a close fight, or it was going to be a competitive fight. I know that they were trying to make Rashidi Ellis look good for Boots Ennis and build the Boots Ennis versus Rashidi Ellis fight for later this year, is they sat these fighters right next to each other and had them go back and forth at the press conference. They were already looking past Vila and Karen.
Should have done it.
These were setup fights, and Rashidi Ellis did not look good and lost a setup fight.
100%. 100%. Oh, man. Rashidi Ellis, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? You know what I mean? Ricardo says, saludo, Calix. D-Style chat. Rashidi was on the shelf too long. Andrade didn't show he's on Canelo's level. Davis won as expected. Any quick thoughts on Andrade, by the way?
No.
His fight was so forgettable that I forgot to add it to the itinerary.
None. He's a guy like we just don't care about at this point. just doesn't. You got to get the highlight reel KOs. You've got to do something outside of your comfort zone in order to get something moving. And he just hasn't done that throughout his career. And that's why he has no leverage. He's buried on undercards, and he's still giving us these 10 round performances in which he's coasting to victories.
He's coasting to victories. Either you got to be like a boxing master and putting on boxing clinics, right? Right, or knocking dudes out or something. You got to do something. And if you're not doing that, that's fine. But don't fight that level of opposition. Then fight real challenges, and then it's forgivable or whatever to look vulnerable if you're fighting real competition. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying, like it's you want to be rewarded with the best when you haven't even like you're still fighting Glass Joe, but you want a shot at Tyson. Like, you know what I mean? What are you doing?
Exactly it. Exactly.
You're still fighting Kano, but you want like Lord Khan and Mortal Kombat. Like it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? You got to fight the dude with the 4 arms first. You got to take some risk. I forgot the dude's name, but whatever. You want Bison, but like you haven't even fought the dude with the has the long arms yet. Like what are you doing?
Yep.
So speaking of Villa. Shout out to Santel Mira. It says, my Hispanic causing panic pick of the week is Roman Villa, who upset Rashidi Ellis Saturday, knocking his opponent down twice in a 12 to win a decision. Hashtag HCP. And those are the handles for me. Calix follows on Twitter. Follow Santel Mira as well. Contributor will be nominating HCP of the week every week. That's his nomination this week. There's going to be there's Santel, DJ Michica, and also MC in the ring that they'll be submitting. And then, of course, me and Calix have a vote as well. That's 5 people. If there's 3 out of 5, you're automatically the HCP of the week. If there isn't, and it's not unanimous like that, then we do a poll in the chat. Calix, I agree with Santel Media. I think Roman Villa is definitely Hispanic causing panic of the week. Do you agree?
I do. 7-1 underdog. I think this is a no-brainer. Great performance, especially late. Came on late. I think we got to give it to him.
Yes, I agree 100%. Like I'm right there. I'm right in line. Via HCP, the first of the year, Hispanic causing panic of the week. Great choice by Social Media, and that makes it 3. It is what it is. All right. And of course, the other 2 ladies will be picking starting next week. So keep notice, everybody. Okay. Shout out to the Don, Al Money, the Goats. We have Boxing Historian on here. Do not sleep on Dashlem. Who? Daslim. Okay. Cool. I will sleep on him. All right. There we go. It is what it is. Okay. Villa. Yeah. Shout out to Villa. Had somebody put a Honduran flag for my Honduran brother? Anybody? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just waiting for that Honduran flag. All right. Anyway, people are talking about the fake abs of right now. Rebecca Ruber just posted on Twitter, like, do people really believe those are real abs? People did believe they were real abs. People were shaming young people, like, oh, what's your excuse? Oscar's got abs at 50.
Are you saying those abs are not real?
They're not real.
What?
Yeah, Puerto Rican Ram. Hey, look at that. He's got your back, Alex. 30 votes so far. The chat, the same, bam. Canelo has 29%. De La Hoya has 60%. Calix, I want to give a case for Oscar De La Hoya for HCP of the year. Hispanic causing panic of the year. And I know what people are going to say. What? Oscar? Bro, he got the fake abs going? You know what I mean? He's a disastrous here, by the way, but he's causing all types of panic. I mean, did you see that? What the amount of money he put up for freaking Gallo versus Franco?
Uh-huh.
And after watching that Ioka fight, could you imagine how good that fight would have been? He put 130,000 or some shit like that. Like, this is crazy, bro. Like, he's beefing with Eddie Hearn. He's beefing with Dana White. Called out Dana White for slapping his wife. It's whatever, you know what I mean? Oscar De La Hoya, does he have a case? It might not be the right type of panic, but it's not the who had a great year award. You know what I mean? It's not the best fight of the year. It's a Hispanic causing panic award.
He's causing panic. He's causing a lot of panic.
People are talking about him. They're talking about his abs. If you believe the abs are real, give me a 1 in the chat. Okay, I just want to know who thinks they're real, right? But Oscar De La Hoya, and then you got Canelo, right? Well, let me do Bam first. People are going, Bam, and look at the chat, Bam. I know Bam had a great year. He did, right? 2 big wins, 3 wins actually, but 2 of them really good wins. One of them was a solid win. Then he had 2 great wins. Can't go wrong with that. Definitely look at Martin Ramos won. Stop. They're not real, okay? I did not expect to see any ones in the chat. If I see a sea of ones, I swear to God, okay? But
those ones going, yes.
Leave out. Get out of here. So look, real. I guess they're real as in like they exist. You know what I mean? But that's about as real as they get. Canelo, bro.
Hey, wait a second though. You telling me girls can walk around with fake butts, fake breasts, but dudes can't walk around with fake abs? What's going on? Let dudes have fake abs if they want. Dudes have fake calves. Let dudes have fake abs. It is what it is.
Is that going to be a thing now?
I think so. I think we need to let it go. Like,
if going to gain weight, he's going to have a belly with like these fake abs, brother. Like this is crazy, bro. It looks like those bagels you get, like for when like family, like let's say your wife didn't have time to bake the bread, like hey, can you go to Walmart and buy the bread? That's what it looks like, bro. That's what it is. Saying. So yeah, like Bam had a great year, right? Great year. But he's quiet though. Like, you know what I mean? He's a silent killer, you know? Like he's not quiet. He's a charismatic kid. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's Kodo. Sorry. Right. He's a charismatic kid, you know, all that, but he doesn't like when Sonny Edwards called him out, he went, oh yeah, it'll be great to fight Edwards. Yeah, that'll be a great fight. Like it's not like, well, who the fuck you talking to? You know what I mean? Where Canelo, the reigning Hispanic Causin Panic of the Year from last year, by the way. Yes, he lost to Bivol, but he moved up division. Dare to be great. He closed out, beat his nemesis. Okay, you know, winning the trilogy against Gennady Golovkin. All right, big events. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Like, started a beef with the biggest sports star, Messi. You know what I mean? Called him out, saying if he better not, I better not run into him. If I run into him, he better pray to God I don't run into him. Like he put like, and I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing, Canelo? But he started all types of panic during the World Cup, right? That shit was everywhere. And not to mention getting drunk at parties, saying, let's party, motherfuckers, and like all that stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Kicking bands, that expensive bands that he hired, kicking him out of his daughter's quinceañera, right? Because they weren't playing the song she wanted or some shit, like when she wanted them. But, you know? I'm just saying. And they're kicking out his guest, calling him a bunch of freeloaders. This is crazy. That's what Canelo did. You know what I mean? Not to mention calling out these PBC fighters saying, you know, hey, stop. I'm going to be busy. How about y'all fight each other instead of just sitting there waiting for me, right? So it all embodies it, brother. I'm sorry. When the chat's over here, oh, nah, but bam, oh, bam, bam. Okay, but like, it's not a Fight of the Year award. I just want to put that out there. Now, your resume and who you fought matters because it's a sport of boxing. Don't get me wrong. But De La Hoya, Canelo, Bam, weigh them in, Kelly. Like, weigh them in a little bit.
You're making strong cases for both and Canelo. You really are. Because I was all for Bam, but you should be a lawyer. Like, you're politicking good right now for those two guys, particularly Canelo, because I like the messy thing. I like the fact that Canelo was going after this top soccer player, arguably the GOAT. I love that during the World Cup. I loved it. I love that he's kicking bands out of. To be honest, as well, yeah. I liked Canelo's year as a fighter. He was one of the few fighters at the top who fought twice this year. So he was an active fighter. He fought a guy who I have number 4 pound for pound right now in Dimitri Bivol, arguably the most versatile fighter in the sport and statistically the best defensive fighter in the sport. It didn't turn out the way the odds makers said it would, but he fought him and he closed out an important trilogy for his career. So I actually thought he had a decent year and stayed in the top 5, 6 pound for pound by extension. But another guy I want to nominate is Zordo Ramirez because he got arrested. Didn't he get arrested for like a night for throwing beer at tourists? I love that.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
Now, Benavidez didn't get it because he didn't do anything.
Benavidez didn't do anything, but I like the fact that Zordo is throwing beers from balconies at tourists. Like, get out of here. Get out of here.
Now, before I announce the winner, does Benavidez have a shot if he does some damage to Plant and then maybe gets a Canelo fight, maybe he wins? Yeah. You never know.
Yes.
Look, a lot of y'all look at the chat, like rebelling and shit. Like Bam got more votes, a higher percentage vote after I made the case for Canelo. Like what's going on over here? Like, y'all know who the real Hispanic Causin Panic is. Who dominated the headlines? Let's just keep it real. Who dominated the headlines? Canelo did. I'm just saying. He even caused panic in the loss.
He did.
Even his fight with Bivol caused panic. Oh, he's going to fight a Russian. Like the Klitschko were up in arms about it.
Mm-hmm. And he announced a pay-per-view 17 days after the loss. I love that about him. But this is a hardcore boxing channel. And Bam Rodriguez fighting 3 times, beating Carlos Cuadras on short notice, going up in weight. Then knocking out Sorong Vise, a feat that we didn't think would happen. We picked Bam Rodriguez to win the fight, but would he knock out a guy? Arguably won 24 straight fights up until that point, and he did it. He looked great doing it. And on top of that, he follows that up with Israel Gonzalez in September. Some people say he didn't look all that good in that fight, but I thought it was a tough fight, and he passed with flying colors once again. And he's going to go down to 112 to do damage. Bam Rodriguez is the Hispanic Causin Panic of the year 2022.
Hey, do you agree with somebody in the chat saying, what about Teofimo? Yeah, I mean, did he cause panic? He didn't did he? I love Teofimo, but did he cause panic this year? Maybe some panic when he was like, do I still got it?
2-0 last year. We got to give him that. 2-0.
Now, this might be the year for Teo, but last year, Suleiman almost won it last year, by the way. I just want to put that out there. You know what I mean? With all the franchising, and he might have a shot this year. You never know. Look, obviously, Bam is the I want to say this before I announce the winner. Bam Rodriguez had a great year. Bam Rodriguez, definitely of the 3 I mentioned, obviously Deloy's retired, but fighter of the year, he would be up there with Bivol. So I want to give him a shout. I want to give a strong shout out to Bam Rodriguez. I want to give a shout out to the chat for voicing out their opinion that Bam, it should be Bam, but the winner and the obvious winner is Bam Rodriguez, right? So there you go. Okay, so Bam Rodriguez will win the Hispanic Causin Panic of the year in an upset over Canelo. There you go. Yep. If you want to call it that. Shout out to Rachel Donaire in the chat, by the way. All right. Shout out to her and her husband, Onito Donaire, future Hall of Famer, multi-division world champion. Nothing but respect to Nonito, and hope to see him back in the ring soon. And there you go.
And by the way, speaking of that, would we have come into 2022 thinking that Bam Rodriguez would be the fighter of the year? That's what's beautiful about it. It came out of nowhere. And on top of that, it highlights the lower weight classes. Shout out to Nonito Donaire. Is you like to see the lower weight class fighters get their shine. And that's what happened with Bam Rodriguez. And I hope he has a big year following into 2023. Yeah. And by 100%. The way, I think the pound for pound champion is a lower weight class guy in Naui anyway. So,
yeah. Lara versus Wood. It's really quick so we can close out. Lara Wood. I love this fight. At first, I'm not going to lie to you. When they first announced it, my first thought was I thought of Clubber Lang, right? In the interview before the Rocky Balboa fight, prediction, pain, right? I thought, he's going to destroy Wood. But you know what? And I don't know what it was. Like, the more I thought about it, you can't overlook Wood, man. Like, I think he's going to make it a fight. I really do. I think he's going to make it a fight. I don't know if he's going to go the distance with Lara, but I think he's going to be in it, like, every round. I could see it being one of those fights is maybe wide on the scorecards for Lara, but it's competitive every round, and Wood is in it, right? I just don't think he's going to be able to tire out Lara the way he did Conlon, you know? But Lara's there to get hit more than Conlon, so it kind of offsets a little bit. What do you think of this fight?
Love it. Regardless of what happens, we're going to get action. And Lee Wood, to me, was in the fight of the year in 2022 and had the knockout of the year in 2022. And possibly, you know, it was an upset as well against Mick Conlon as well. But this is in Lee Wood's hometown. You got to keep. Here's the thing. I understand what you're saying as far as Lara. You think he's going to get Lee Wood out of there. Lee Wood's a tough fighter. This is the one thing I worry about for Lee Wood. This is the biggest thing is inactivity. It's going to be 11-month layoff by the time he fights this fight.
I think he needed it after that war. I just got to be honest, but
he did. And the injury, I get all that. The thing with Lara, though, is the last fight, I thought he started off slow. So if Lara starts off slow, Lee Wood gets into it with the hometown crowd. I don't know if I agree with you that there's going to be a knockdown here or knockout in this fight. I think it goes the distance. I think Lee Wood's going to be in the fight. I think it's going to be a close fight, and it's going to be a barn burner. These two guys are going to go after it. Lara is going to force Lee Wood into exchanges that Lee Wood doesn't want to be in, particularly as the fight goes on. But Lara started off slow in his last fight, 11-month layoff for Lee Wood. A lot of question marks here. I lean Mauricio Lara, though. I lean Lara.
For sure.
About 60-40.
But I want to see Bronco Lara, right, against El Venado Lopez, what I want to see. Like, I think that's a fight to make. And plus, I get to use the emojis, you know, the deer and the horse, so that they got to do it. You know what I mean? So we'll talk more about that the sooner we get. Some final thoughts of the day. Here's my final thought of the day, right? This is a quote from Roberto Duran, right? One of the four kings. You can't really see because of the lighting right there, but one of the four kings that's a artwork from Killian. Shout out to him, friend of the channel. Hope to have him on one of these shows, by the way. Always raffles out like his artwork and stuff, so and it helps him, you know, get exposure. So shout out to him. Quote, I laugh when Floyd Mayweather says that if he went back in time, he would beat us all. I'll tell you this. If he was in the same era as Hagler and Hearns and Leonard and me, I don't think he would be such a big name. There's too much talk. This is a quote from Roberto Duran. Now, look, I'm not delusional. Floyd Mayweather is a very talented fighter, and I think he would do well in any era, right? Let me just put that out there, right? I'm just quoting Roberto Duran. What I do know, that in my opinion, he wouldn't be undefeated if he fought all those guys. I'll just say that. I don't think he beats Leonard. I wouldn't count him out, but I don't think he beats Leonard. I think Hearns is all wrong for him. I just do. Right? If Chop Cordy was clocking this dude with overhands, well, what do you think Hearns is going to do? Look, I'm just saying, right? If the footwork of Ricky Haddon for the first few rounds is getting to him a little bit, if the speed of Zab Judah was getting to him, of course, Floyd was such a great fighter. We got to go for different fighters to kind of pick apart some stuff. But when you look at these great fighters that could encompass a lot and do a lot of the things and maybe even better than some of the opponents Floyd had or more well-rounded, it's going to be tough. And then you have Duran. I mean, and then you know, Hagler. Forget he wouldn't even go up and fight a limping Martinez. Okay, Floyd Mayweather wouldn't fight Sergio Martinez, who was obviously on a bad leg. Okay, what makes you think he's going to go up and fight Hagler? I'm just saying. I will say I agree about 70% with Roberto Duran. I don't think he would have been a known name. I think Floyd would have definitely been known. He has a talent, great fighter. He would be relevant, obviously. I don't know if he would how brittle hands, though. You know what I mean? In those days, you don't want to be that brittle. I'm just saying. But Floyd would have been like better than his dad, for example. You know what I mean? Like but he would have been there. But that's that. Well, what are your thoughts on that, Alex?
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Had he been in that era, he wouldn't have ended up undefeated. That's for sure. I'm not going to sit here and say he would have won this fight, he would have won that fight, but I don't think you go through that gauntlet undefeated. That for sure. And to piggyback off of that and then give my last point is the first point would be I want to see more fighters of era show appreciation for fighters of previous eras. And let me give you a specific example. When I see a Tank Davis go on Twitter and call Timothy Bradley ass, it bothers me. It bothers me as a fight fan because I'm a fight fan who relies heavily on the resume versus the eye test. And you have a growing number of fighters of this era who are having us rely more on the eye test. And I'm going to get on that in a minute and why that is. But we got to show respect for fighters like a Timothy Bradley who went fight after fight after fight at 140 and 147. A guy like Carl Froch who is going in the Hall of Fame this year as well. He loses all the mythical matchups, I understand, but you got to understand he went through a 12-fight gauntlet to end his career where he was dog in 8 of the 12 fights, but still won 10 of those 12 fights. I don't think we'll ever see that again. Yep. It's a hell of a run. So I want to see show appreciation to the fighters who actually went through the fire to get their legacy. They're not currency before legacy, and I broke this down before. Currency over legacy gets you less of both over time. Legacy over currency gets you more of both over time in general. But also, we need to get these fighters more active. It's frustrating as a boxing fan, and we should be asking what's in it for us because you got to keep us interested. So when we see the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters, according to Ring Magazine, fight a combined 14 times in calendar year 2022, the top 50 fight a combined 69 times. The top 100, according to ESPN, fought a combined 130-something times. 1.3 fights per fighter on average. Despite if you go 10, 50, 100, it's trickling down all the way to the price to where prospects are fighting 3 times per year. We need to get these fighters more active to where we can create more stars for these fighters, and it trickles down to the other fighters as well. And it gives us something to be entertained by as boxing fans to where we can fund these fighters as boxing fans better than we're doing now.
Very well said. Very well said. And also, I think if you cover this sport, right, you have to ask yourself, what do you bring? You know, what do you bring to the table? And I say this just kind of, I just want to add this caveat to what you're saying. If you're not a former fighter, right? Like you and I were not former fighters. We didn't fight professionally in the ring, right? Mm-hmm. So what should we bring? I would think one thing we should bring is knowledge of the sport, do our homework, try to know what we're talking about, know our history of the sport. So this way, when a Devin Haney is being interviewed, right? Because we all play a part in this. Devin Haney was being interviewed by somebody. Now, in fairness, it wasn't a boxing podcast, I don't believe, but nonetheless. And Devin Haney said that Roberto Duran and Ray Leonard and those guys in the past fought for crumbs. I don't even have to factor in inflation, and they made more money than you. But you know what I mean? And if I factor in inflation, those guys made, if like in today's terms, Leonard made what would be equivalent today to $29 million when he fought Duran. They both made 25, 26 million apiece with inflation counting if they fought each other, right? So it's important to hold people to it. No, nobody's saying be rude or anything like that. But when someone makes an ignorant statement that way, we should be able to correct that and say, actually, no, champ, but actually, this is what Leonard made. You know what I mean? And because that's supposed to show respect to these fighters. And I'll tell you why, Calix, because the blood, sweat, and tears of the boxers of the past, okay, built this sport. and open the door for this generation to be given big paydays just based off of potential. Because they know, well, look at what these fighters made in the past. His talent shows me he may make that, so I want to invest in him now. And we have these fighters getting paid a lot of money, right? Like Devin Haney. When Devin Haney was getting subsidized money, he wasn't generating that money the way Leonard was, right? So we don't need to be shitting on the fighters of the past. Okay, they should be celebrated, right? That's the way I see it. The worst part about what Tank did to Bradley, he did this in what was supposed to be the apex moment of Bradley's career. Like he got, he got the call to go to the Hall of Fame, right? Like it takes a big dick to try to rain on somebody's parade like that. You know what I mean? It just does. So one of these days, I know we had Rachel in the chat. Like one of these days, I do believe Nonito Donaire will get the call.
No doubt.
But nobody should be posing, oh, Nonito Donaire, he was ass. Like, what? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's hard to get into the Hall of Fame. And I know people don't think that, but it is. There's a lot of fighters that didn't make the Hall of Fame. You may not agree with everyone in the Hall of Fame, but it's hard to get that call, right? Because there are tens of thousands of professional boxers active today. A handful of them are going to make the Hall of Fame, right? Look, I'm just saying. So just respect the fighters. With that said, this is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. Who's down with HCP? Everybody. We're out of here, guys.